again. Got Bob New, Dean Butcher here with me, and we're going to have our gadget of the week, which actually isn't a single gadget, it's a technology. That's a good way to put it. And what we're going to be talking about today is wireless in connectivity, because we've got an issue going on out there with this wireless in speed-ish stuff that I want to clarify to our listeners and viewers. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is what is wireless in? Well, wireless in is in the progression of a long line of wireless standards that have been passed in the United States, actually globally, I believe, but United States definitely, that define that devices are compatible with each other regardless of what brand you buy. Started with 802.11b, which was the first wireless standard for 10 megabit per second internet or access. Now, that was fine if all you wanted to do was internet with all these DSL lines that were 3 to 6 megabit connections.
Well, then you were lucky if
you could even get
faster than 768.
Well, what happened though was that wireless expanded beyond just internet, and people wanted to start putting wireless in their networks, in their homes and their businesses. So then comes 802.11g. G was 54 megabits.
What happened to CDE&F?
I don't know. Maybe they just didn't make the standard. You know how they do testing? They just didn't make the grade.
We should call this one preparation H.
Oh. Yeah, show off. I have crippled pinkies in case anyone on TechTalk ever wanted to know that. But we had that standard for a long time, and that's the most popular still, G. 54 megabits per second. Now that's about half the speed of what most wired networks are running at, which are 100. Yep. Now comes the new baby on the block, and that is wireless in. In started out at 150 megabits per second. It's now up to 300 as a standard, and on the horizon we have a 450 megabit device platform being made available. But we're going to talk about the mainstream 300 megabit at the moment. Now, if you want wireless in 300 megabit, the first thing I'm going to say is, it doesn't matter which device you buy for the wireless. This is a very basic Netgear. This is the model WNR2000. This is version 2. It's made by Netgear. It's what I would call a beginner or entry level wireless in. 300 megabits per second. It's fantastic. Your latency is great if you're playing games over it, whatever, to the internet. No problems. This is a higher end, much higher end. This is like going to the other extreme end, because technically it's called an extreme. And this is by D-Link, and this is the model DIR655. Has 3 external antennas, which is kind of nice. Not really necessary, but it has them. Has a USB port, so you could actually plug your printer into this device. So wherever this sits, your printer sits, you can still sit around with your notebook and print and surf the web. Far as wireless goes, it's the same speed, 300 megabits. The extreme, you get a larger range. They claim 14 times larger range. That's not 14 times larger than the basic entry-level in. It's 14 times longer than B, because that's what they're always going to go back to try to trick you. So this one and this one, I'm going to say you're going to get roughly twice the range out of this that you do with this. And it's not because of the 3 antennas. Built-in antennas are fine. The problem that I see with wireless in is that they're packaging them in such a way that's misleading. When you buy wireless in, you're thinking, oh, 300 megabits per second, that's great. My network's going to be fast, and I can put this on my networking. And if all you're talking about is getting to the internet, it is great. If you're talking about using a network inside your house to link multiple computers together, or to link your office together, there is a big difference between these two routers. Because this one, even though you're going to get the 300 megabits on the internet, or through the wireless, I'm sorry, you're not going to get it to the wired computers because it only has a 10100 switch in it. So all your 300 wireless comes in, gets throttled down, choked to 100, and spits it out. Also true for the internet port or the WAN port. The problem with this is that you're buying something that you may not be getting the full use out of. It is not uncommon for someone to have a PC in their home that they keep their pictures and whatnot on, and a notebook that they carry around.
Right.
When they're transferring files back and forth or backing up, this is a waste of money. Because you could have purchased a G router, saved $50, and you would have been close to the actual speed that you're getting, whereas this, you're 200 lost. This one, on the other hand, the D-Link, has a gigabit switch in it, up to 1,000. That includes the internet port or WAN port and the internals. Zero loss. Prices. This one here is going to run you about $70 to $80, and where you get it. This one will run you about $29 to $39. Not a lot of price difference between the two. Now, if you really want to go extreme, they do make versions of these where you get multiple radios in it.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, Josh is playing the Xbox wireless. You're playing World of Warcraft wireless. The dual radio comes in very handy. Now, those are going to run you about $129. So, had you ever really thought about it? I mean, that was kind of a hole of knowledge to me. I know that, but I never thought about it until I was standing in an office store, looking at the shelf, deciding what I wanted, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, 300? What? And it was this exact model because I purchased it. And I was thinking, wait a minute, 300? It can't be 300. It's a 100 switch.
Does it say on it it's a 100 switch?
It does not say. It did say on the box.
On the box?
On the box, it said 10/100. And then we looked it up online to be sure.
Okay.
Now, Netgear does have a version that is a gigabit. I just didn't happen to have one of those on hand to show today. Had you thought? Have you got any customers that have?
Well, I've had a couple of customers do the wireless in, and that was definitely a concern. When it hit me was I was buying I just moved, so I wanted to get a little bit better range. So it's just an old Netgear wireless G. I mean, it would barely go on a single level house. Moved it to a split level. So I did my research online, but I was just looking at range because I knew I wanted a 300 megabit wireless in. Found the Linksys E3000, the high end.
The high end Links. It looks like a little spaceship.
With the purple ring. And so I naturally just gravitated towards that because the range test was awesome. And I was sitting there looking at it. It was touting gigabit network ports and internet port or LAN port. And I was sitting there thinking, when that hit me then, I was like, why do they have to brag about this? Shouldn't they all? And when I started looking at the other ones, I actually looked at that one, a couple of the low end D-Links, and was like, what the heck? Yeah.
So there are a lot. I mean, I can't even begin to guesstimate how many models there are of wireless in devices that have 100 megabit switches in them.
And that's important now, especially if you're streaming Netflix or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't want to get into that buffer.
You don't need to be throttling back anything. You want to run to the full ability that you can. So I have to say, please think about it. Don't do like I did. I've got two of these things. I'm using them still. I use them for internet only, but I can't hook them into a network because I don't get the full benefit of it. I do highly recommend the D-Link Extreme series. I've had incredibly good luck with them. This particular model, I have 4 of these in different offices, and it's great. It's very robust. It doesn't shut down. The range on it is excellent.
I've used a lot of D-Link business products, their access point in particular, and they're just amazing. D-Link is definitely on top of the game.
Aren't they Cisco now?
No, that's Linksys, the
Linksys.
Cisco. And I will go on to say that Linksys definitely competes with these products. So does the Cisco Valet line. You're going to pay roughly 10 to 15% more for your Linksys devices over your D-Link devices. That's about average, 10-15%. If you want to buy the name and you love it, go for it. If you find it on sale, that's great. But the truth is, there's not enough difference in operation to justify the cost difference if you find an adequate D-Link to do the job. I don't like the external antennas, by the way. They don't really do anything. I mean, this is fine. You can get the Linksys version of their Extreme extended range, and it's packaged like this.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have these antennas dangling out. This thing fits really nice, and stick it anywhere. It's like a book.
Well, the one thing for that, which is good, which I've had to use on the business side, is I have one office that is completely wireless, and I had to mess with the antennas to throw the signal in that direction.
So you got to look at something like this.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. We kept messing with it until it was throwing the signal in the very back office.
So you have them all turn different directions. Well, anyway, this has been our gadget of the week, or actually technology of the week, wireless in 300 megabits. Make sure you're getting a switch that has gigabit capability so you're not throttling back what you've paid for.